Hello there, everyone. This is hey there. Hello there, everyone. This is Omni J Bear. Doing the longer version of that tip video I mentioned, and the kind of format that we're going to do. And this is in regards to the scaling and how to have different scales in the same photograph. Because a lot of folks have been wondering, or maybe you've been wondering, why can I collect Figma, which is 1/5 scale, and then Marvel Legends, which is 1/6, Sentinel, or Sentinel is just again 1/12, not 1/6, sorry, 6-inch scale. So every character baseline is 6 inches, and then it scales from there. So it works really well with any of the Hasbro lines. But obviously, they are different heights than Figma or Sentinel, where it is a true 1/12 scale. Or for Figma, it's a little trickier than that. It's a little bit, they scale within Figma line. So. And then we also have, the Hammond collection, which is 1/8 scale, or 1/18th scale. So you're like, what the heck? And then even with blind box characters like Little Bitty Capybara, maybe if I can angle it better so you can see it. Capybara over there, that's not even, I don't even know what scale that is, because capybaras are actually decently sized to people. And that's a really tiny capybara. It was just really funny. I picked up that blind box. Maybe I'll share that as a short video. But it's very tiny, but it works comedically in that proportions, right? So if you saw the short video and you're here for a more in-depth thing, then you've come to the right place. This video is, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth, because as I was mentioning in the short video, for those that have for a refresher, those that didn't see the video or the short, within the scale, you're obviously completely fine. These are both 1/12 scale, so they work fine. You can tell within nothing around. You can even be like, they're 10 feet tall, they're 100 feet tall, because there's nothing around them. That's part of that, is that when there's nothing around that is out of scale, then you're totally fine. You don't have to come up with a storytelling framework for the photo. But then you bring one person out of scale, and maybe it's the exact same character as I was mentioning in the short. This is Spider-Gwen from Across the Spider-Verse, Marvel Legends. So this does not scale. She's taller. So, the proportions with the Sentinel, though, very skinny, very thin, very small, petite. Whereas this Spider-Gwen has a little bit more muscle, I guess, has a little bit more proportions. So you could say that this is Gwen from the future, which it is Gwen from the future in that sense. But you could say that maybe she had a growth spurt between this age and this age. Because the age is kind of there is a with the age of the character there is able to be kind of a growth explanation if anyone was explaining it. But you don't even have to do that for your framing when it's only one character, because it can be, like I said, as long as it's proportioned in a similar fashion, you can be fine. Now, when it comes to scaling and storytelling framing, it gets a little muddled when there is more than one in a different scale, in a particular different scale. But it is a little bit easier. You can still go with the information. Hold on, sorry, my camera's acting all wiggly. Knowing facts of characters also really helps with the story framing. Because then you're like, oh, well, so Jean Grey is between 5'7" and 5'9", the same thing as Gwenpool. Spider-Gwen is a little shorter than these. This is Mayfax, by the way, so that's a different, I don't know how the scales work, but Gwenpool's a little taller than, it's like, he's just below 6 foot, with the curly mask part, which is not part of her body, that goes to 6 foot. So I don't know Mayfax scale, but it still can scale within the story framing, as I was mentioning, because You go, oh, she's like 5'7", 5'9". Jean Grey is 5'7", 5'9", because that's what the Marvel data pages kind of have it at. Hold on, I think I know why this is acting weird. Is that better or worse? Okay, that was worse. Sorry. And then Spider-Gwen, as I said, a little bit shorter by maybe a quarter of an inch. So you can still work with that and be like, well, they're taller. They are taller in actual life, and then you can be like, well, this is her younger, and she was shorter before this growth spurt. And then it gets weird though, because then you're like, Luigi though is like super short. Is Luigi actually this short in the real world? And then you kind of Luigi. The reason why I do this is because like the Mario Brothers or the Mario characters, they're short and like pudgy, and they're like diminutive, so like it works in the real world kind of photography setting kind of thing. And you're like, well, he is tall in the Mushroom Kingdom, in his respective Mushroom Kingdom realm, but if you have played Smash Brothers, he's pretty much this size. He's pretty much actually shorter than like Samus and Link and normal human characters that are not from like fantastical, crazy cartoony things. So it works, and with the proportions especially, because again, animated and exaggerated. But then you're like, what about the Hammond collection? The dinosaurs, how does that work? And while they're 1/18th, they work still because, especially if you angle it properly, which we'll go over. I'll go over another tip on that one in the future. But they can still scale, because then you go, okay, well, let me do a little bit of research. Let me see how tall these dinosaurs are, or approximate, and things like that. And then when you do that and you look at the proportions, you're like, oh well, it is a little bit smaller than it would be on a 1/12, which might be 1/12 would be more expensive. But then you can be like, oh, well, it's a juvenile. Or again, you can be like, this character is shorter. This character is, this character is bigger, or something like that, and all that stuff. Or you can just say that this is a smaller specimen. Or if you're going with comedic, then scale still important. It's still important for proportions, but of course you have to now play around with, as I was pointing out. Oh, sorry, can't see it. As I was pointing out this little scene, the Atrociraptor serving sushi to the capybara. You're like, what the heck? That capybara is really tiny, and the Atrociraptor is a little bit smaller than than what it was in the movie. But again, nothing really around except for the Hammond dinosaurs. Even then, you can do like in this shot, you can just remove the Allosaurus. And now it's the only dinosaur, so you can kind of proportion it as it's a raptor. It's approximately the height of the table counter. Blah blah blah. It's normal size, but the capybara is really tiny. But maybe it's a mini capybara. It's a cartoony, animated. This is also a little weird. In regards to this stuff, I'm going to talk about styles in another video, but obviously this is a different style, because this is lifelike food, and then this is more realistic dinosaur, and then cartoony capybara. But again, you use that to your advantage. You make it work, and you still get this really hilarious scene where you're like, oh, the Atrociraptor, for some reason, it has got smart, and they're like, well, if I wow my prey and give them lavish food, maybe they'll take their guard down. And here comes this tiny capybara that's about to feast on all these things, and the Atrociraptor's like, you're tiny, but I'll still feed on you. And it's like, obviously it works again because the chair is big, the counter is big compared to that capybara that's very tiny. So again, scaling is all about really working with different scales. It's all about proportions. just like in real life. I'm sure you've seen the pictures before of like where they've also played around with like focuses and stuff like that, where if there's a character that's in the foreground, they can make the stuff in the background look smaller than they are, and it's all about like proportions. And then it also includes other stuff. I'm just going over like a basic mechanic. But yeah, like, don't be afraid to use different scales. Just know that you either you either you position them properly so that it kind of works out, or you do let me zoom out so we can get the full on picture. Okay, I need to make a big angle so that you can see everything. Let's put Mr. Allosaurus back. Please do not fall over. Please do not mess this up. Oh man, the Allosaurus legs got messed up. Hold on. Shoot. Alright, not fall over. Okay. So obviously, and then even let's make it even more weird. Let's add King Boo, which is not in scale with anything. As you can see, like, this looks crazy and weird and like, what the heck? But these being dinosaurs in the back, while they are still smaller, I mean, that still makes them smaller. They're not so far in the back that like they are significantly they are seemingly smaller than they appear. They are still sort of a little similar size if they were in the foreground. But because they're in the background, it tricks the eye into thinking, oh well, I don't know where they are, but they seem normal size. They seem twice the size as these humans. But because of that, because of the proportions of like the figure of these Hammond collections, because they're on the more realistic side, they do have like a less exaggerated, and so it is normal. Oh gosh. So you know, that's my long tip scaling video. Sorry for being 13 minutes. But anyway, I hope that helped you out. And I hope you look forward to more videos on tips. Once again, as I was saying before, I'm not like a Sadork photographer or those kind of folks that know how to do photography very well. I'm just hoping that these will help you in getting moderately better photography. And I hope that it you look forward to more tips and stuff like that. Or comment in the comment section and be like, I don't care about these tips because you don't do great pictures at all. But anyway, always remember, you are loved, you are worthy. Sorry, you are worthy, you are loved, you belong, and you can do wonderful things. Keep your star shining, and we'll always be looking for you in the night sky. Going off.